One of the most requested video topics I get on my channel and in my comments is how I achieve my John Frusciante inspired tone, or just my guitar tone in general. I had a video about this that I did about, I want to say a year and a half ago, maybe a year ago, I kind of forget, not gonna lie. It's been a while. And I find that the things I'm using and how I run my setup now for most of my videos is a little bit different, and I want to touch on that because there is a difference between my old video and my setup now. I do technically have some gear that you don't need to achieve his tone. It's just nice to have extras, but we'll touch on that entire topic. I want to keep this video as informative as possible and brief as possible. How this video is going to be is I'm going to talk about my guitar, then my pedal board, and then the interface that my pedal board is running into, and then into my amp simulator that I'm using. And without further ado, let's just jump right into it. Okay, so in terms of guitar, the guitar you're going to need, preferably if you're a John fan, a Fender Strat. Even a PRS style Strat guitar, Yamaha style Strat guitar, the pickups are probably going to sound slightly different, but the main idea is that you want single coil pickups for your sound. They did use humbuckers here and there, like on Les Pauls that you can see in the background, and 335s, SGs, all these kinds of things, but that main tone that you're going for is from that single coil sound. So for everybody asking, because I do get this question often, this is a 2004 Highway 1 Stratocaster in crimson red. Got a nitro finish. It's not technically nitro because there's a little bit of a poly underneath. That's why I get some relic on my guitar. So once you have that single coil Strat sound, my guitar cable goes right into the first pedal on my pedal board, which is the Boss DS2. Yes, I know he stacks other pedals with it afterwards, but this is the main staple. If you're on a budget, like the title says, you don't need another distortion. You can run this cranked out and you can get that super mid-range saturated solo that he's known for, right? A lot of people don't know this, and I'm gonna talk about this in a separate video more in depth, but the order of your pedals 100% matter when it comes to John's tone, and most guitar players have a certain order to achieve certain different sounds and certain tones. The Boss DS2 is the first pedal, essential. You're gonna need that pedal for all of his distortion tones and for all of his lead playing. So here's what the Boss DS2 will sound like when you have it on your board. Pedal after my DS2 here on my board right now is the J.F Fuzz by Triungulo Labs. I always think I'm butchering that name. Sorry, Will. Right now, it's not running through my chain just because I'm having a little bit of an issue with it, but usually I am running it after the DS2 and stacking the two together. So unfortunately, I can't give a sample of how the J.F Fuzz sounds right now, but I do have a previous video of when I first got it, and I'll plug that right here so you can hear how it sounds. DS2, then you have the Fuzz, and then if you want to get more of his recent tour tones, I have the Boss SD1 running how he does on his board, so it comes after both of those pedals, the DS2 and the Fuzz. And this is just for things like the Black Summer course, and just to give you a little bit of grit. And sometimes live he is seen stacking all three, or just the DS2, the SD1. Okay, so like I said, the order is super important when it comes to the pedals. All of my overdrives, distortions, and fuzzes come before the Ibanez wah, or the wah pedal that you're using. So guitar, overdrive, distortion, or fuzz, and then the wah pedal. And that's exactly how you get this crazy erratic tone when John turns on his wah. That's exactly how I get it. Yes, there's a technique of doing it, which I have a video on. You can probably check it out right here. I'll link it. In terms of the actual tone, it's just because the wah is after the distortions, and that's just how they affect each other when they're turned on. I think any Ibanez wah will do the job. Okay, so now that you've heard the wah, I'm gonna touch on the next pedal, which is the Triungulo Lab's Barbanera. I only have it running right now on like that wobbly filter sound that you get from the Danny California verses. But yeah, this pedal is its own instrument in itself. There's so many sounds you can get from it from just sitting down and playing with it. But I do think it's a great addition on the board if you're going for the John sounds. And it's basically replicating his Moog pedals on his board throughout the By the Way and Stadium Arcadium era. This delay pedal, I am unaware of the brand. It's got like tremolo, different delays, reverse delay that John uses sometimes. DL4 doesn't fit on my board, which is the one that John is known for using. But I'll demonstrate it anyways. I basically use it for like a slapback, sometimes for longer delays with my band and our kind of sound. It's just a simple delay pedal, and I'll demonstrate it quickly as well. After the delay, you're gonna go into the CE-1. So I'm under my board and I'm into the CE-1 clone. I was using the jackhammer, and before I had the CE-1, all dusty because I've been sitting on my shelf since Will sent me the pedals. I had the jackhammer giving me that dirty clean tone. If you're a fan of Dave Simpson, you'll know this route. If not, go check out his channel. I learned almost all the stuff I know from him, so I couldn't be more thankful to all of the free knowledge that he puts out. So definitely go check his YouTube channel out for more tips. But the CE-1 does come with a coarse and vibrato mode that John uses. This one doesn't have anything except for the OD and distortion mode. I personally think it's the most useful and important pedal on my board to get that John tone. Everybody has a different opinion, to each their own, and this is how it sounds. CE-1 has a stereo output. The right side for me is going directly out into my interface, but the left output going into the Hall of Fame 2 reverb. It's set on the spring setting. The level dial varies depending on how much reverb I want. I just think the stereo is a super important note. The left side is completely dry, but the right side is wet, and that's the side that has the coarse vibrato and the reverb. One quick pedal mention I want to give that isn't on my board right now is the MXR Dynacomp. I use this live in the studio and stuff to get my compression tones. On my Garageband, I'm using the built-in compressor just to make some more room on my board for other pedals. So that's my entire pedal board. I hope that helps. But once you're out stereo, there's two inputs on my Euphoria UMC22 interface by Behringer. And then from there is where it gets interesting. And I shock a lot of people when I say I'm using Garageband because it gets a lot of hate in terms of the simulation. I've always used this ever since I got started in guitar because it was free. There's definitely ways of getting around it. You don't need Garageband. There's plenty of other options. I don't want to take up too much time, so I'm just going to quickly run through my settings. They're very similar to my last video still. But the three tracks I have, the first one is the backing track. So I get a lot of my backing tracks on YouTube. I just download them with a MP3 converter. I pop that track in, adjust the volume to my guitar guitar and you're ready to go. You just press record. The first track here is guitar L, which is left. So I have it, you can see here, it's panned all the way left, and that's the dry signal. And then the one guitar R is the right side, and that has all the wet, so reverb, chorus, vibrato, everything I was telling you before. What I do is I record it in stereo so I can turn them both on at the same time. So that way when I press record, you'll see here that they're starting to record simultaneously, and that's essentially what I do for that. If you pop over here on the bottom right, you'll see two knobs, one that looks like a pedal and one that looks like an amp. The pedals, as you can see, like I said, I'm not using any of the built-in digital pedals here other than the squash compressor, and that's basically what's replicating the MXR Dynacomp sound. For me, it's on both tracks. When you pop into the amp thing, you'll see my model is Vintage British Stack. Select that. The amp is Vintage British Head, and the cabinet is Vintage British 4x12. So all Vintage British. The mic is the Dynamic 57, which is replicating the SM57 that John used. So in terms of settings, gain is at 0 because I'm getting the dirty, clean breakup tone and signal from the CE-1 level control. On both channels here, the bass is on 10 to replicate John's amp. The mids are both at approximately 7, and then for the left and right channel for treble. My right side is at, I'd say, in between 3 and 4, and the left one is at 5. You can ignore the effects here because we're not using any of that. Presence is set to 7. You can play around with these settings to your own liking. And then master is at 10 to give that simulation of it being cranked all the way. So that's pretty much all it is. It's not going to be a plug and play. That goes for any sound you're trying to get. No matter how many YouTube videos you watch, it's all going to come down to how much time you spend with your gear. But with that being said, that's basically the entire thing in a nutshell. If there's any other video topics you need me to touch on, if you need help with anything, comment it below. I get back to almost every single comment. You can shoot me a message on DM as well on Instagram. I answer those. Quickly, before the video ends, I'd really appreciate it if you could click subscribe and like the video. It really helps push the channel and reach more people so I can help people on their guitar journey and give back to the community. Another quick note I want to say is I do one-on-one lessons. If you're interested in online lessons, you can shoot me a DM. Check out the description, the links to my social media, my broadcast channels, like a behind the scenes kind of thing. You can also check out my band in the description. Our links to all our songs and other social media stuff is there as well. If you are looking to get started on your guitar journey, before I go, there's a link down there to Guitar Tricks, a free 14-day trial, something I used when I first started learning guitar. So if you're looking to quick start your guitar journey in terms of learning the pentatonic scale or a little bit more of an online hands-on thing, check out that link below and I'll get you a free 14-day trial. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I appreciate the support and all the love, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.